Dear listeners, the coins that we are going to tell you about today are very important. Yes, very important. These coins look ordinary and you may have seen them many times, but after watching this video, you will not see them the same way as before. Yes, we are talking about these 4 Washington quarters, which are very rare. Because in this video, the rarity of these coins and their real value in the eyes of collectors and historians will be told. After knowing the truth about these coins, you will realize that these coins are very rare. In this video, coinage history, rare minting errors, and collector's demand will be mentioned. Therefore, watch the video till the end so that you too can benefit from it. The 1994 Washington Quarter is part of the long-running Washington Quarter series that began in 1932 to honor the 200th anniversary of the birth of George Washington, the first President of the United States. By 1994, the coin had already been in circulation for more than 6 decades and had become one of the most recognized and widely used coins in American commerce. The design carried the familiar portrait of Washington on the obverse and the heraldic eagle on the reverse, continuing a tradition that had defined the quarter dollar for generations. The obverse of the 1994 quarter features the left-facing profile of George Washington, originally designed by sculptor John Flanagan. His portrait was based loosely on a bust created by French sculptor Jean-Antoine Houdon in 1785. The inscriptions include "Liberty" above the portrait, "In God We Trust" to the left, and the date, 1994, below, while the mint mark appears to the right of Washington's ponytail. The reverse design of the 1994 Washington Quarter displays a heraldic eagle with wings spread clutching arrows and olive branches, which symbolize readiness for war and the desire for peace. Above the eagle appears the inscription United States of America, and below it the denomination quarter dollar. The motto E pluribus unum is positioned above the eagle's head, reinforcing the unity of the nation. In 1994, the Washington Quarter was struck at 3 different United States Mint facilities, which were United States Mint locations in Philadelphia, Denver, and San Francisco. The Philadelphia and Denver facilities produced coins for circulation, while San Francisco struck proof coins specifically for collectors. The Philadelphia Mint produced millions of 1994 quarters without a mint mark, as was customary for coins struck there during that era. These coins entered everyday commerce and were used in vending machines, cash registers, banks, and businesses across the country, making them a common sight in wallets and pockets throughout the United States. The Denver Mint struck the 1994 D quarter, identified by a small D mint mark on the obverse. These coins were also released into general circulation and were distributed primarily throughout the western regions of the United States. Although similar in design to the Philadelphia issues, the Denver coins sometimes show slight variations in strike quality and luster. The San Francisco Mint produced proof versions of the 1994 quarter bearing the S mint mark proof coins, are specially struck using polished dies and planchets, resulting in a mirror-like background and frosted design elements. These coins were not intended for circulation, but were sold in proof sets to collectors who valued their sharp detail and brilliant finish. By 1994, the Washington Quarter was composed of a copper-nickel-clad structure introduced in 1965 to replace the earlier 90% silver composition. Each coin consisted of a pure copper core sandwiched between 2 outer layers of copper-nickel alloy. This change had been made decades earlier due to rising silver prices and remained in effect throughout the 1990s. The weight of the 1994 Washington Quarter is 5.67 grams with a diameter of 24.3 millimeters and a reeded edge. The reeded edge design originally served as a protection against the shaving of precious metal from silver coins, but it continued as a traditional feature even after the switch to clad composition. During the early 1990s, the United States economy was recovering from a recession, and coin production levels reflected the demand for circulating currency. The 1994 Washington Quarter was produced in large quantities to meet the needs of commerce, ensuring that sufficient coinage was available for everyday transactions across the nation. Collectors often examine 1994 quarters for high-grade, uncirculated examples. Coins graded MS-65 or higher can command premiums above face value, especially if they exhibit strong luster minimal contact marks and sharp strikes. Proof coins in PR69 or PR70 condition are also highly desirable among modern coin enthusiasts. The 1994 S Silver Proof Quarter was also issued as part of special silver proof sets containing coins struck in 90% silver. These sets appealed to collectors who preferred the traditional silver composition and appreciated the added intrinsic value and classic appearance of silver coinage. Era coins from 1994 occasionally attract attention in the numismatic community. Examples may include off-center strikes, double-die varieties, clipped planchets, or coins struck on the wrong planchet. Although such errors are relatively rare, they can significantly increase a coin's value depending on the severity and visibility of the mistake. The Washington Quarter Series experienced renewed popularity only a few years later with the launch of the 50 State Quarters program in 1999. However, in 1994, the design still featured the classic eagle reverse, which would soon give way to commemorative state designs that transformed the appearance of the quarter for a decade. The artistry of John Flanagan remained central to the identity of the quarter in 1994. His original work from the early 20th century continued to circulate widely, demonstrating the lasting influence of classical sculptural design on modern American coinage. Even decades after its introduction, the portrait retained a dignified and recognizable presence. In circulation, most 1994 quarters show signs of wear due to heavy use in daily transactions. Coins often display scratches, dull surfaces, and flattened high points, particularly on Washington's hair and the eagle's breast feathers. This wear reflects the coin's practical role in commerce rather than its function as a collectible. For roll hunters and coin enthusiasts searching bank rolls, the 1994 quarter can sometimes yield higher-grade examples that were preserved in mint rolls since the year of issue. Such finds can be exciting, particularly when discovering coins with original mint luster and minimal handling marks. The mintage figures for 1994 quarters reached into the hundreds of millions for both Philadelphia and Denver issues, illustrating the vast scale of coin production in the United States. The proof mintages were far lower, making them comparatively scarcer, though still widely available in the secondary market. Educationally, the 1994 Washington Quarter serves as a tangible link to American history and economic life in the mid-1990s. It represents a period before the dramatic design changes of the state quarter era and stands as one of the final years of the long-running eagle reverse type. The coin also reflects broader themes of national identity through its inscriptions: Liberty, In God, We Trust, and A Pluribus Unum. These mottos have appeared on United States coinage for generations, reinforcing values and ideals associated with the nation's founding principles. For investors, the 1994 quarter in circulated condition holds little intrinsic value beyond face value due to its clad composition. However, silver-proof versions and high-grade certified examples can attract collector premiums, demonstrating how condition and rarity influence modern coin markets. Numismatic grading services evaluate 1994 quarters based on strike quality, surface preservation, luster, and eye appeal. Encapsulation in protective holders can preserve these coins for future generations, ensuring that even common modern issues are carefully documented and maintained. The Washington Quarter Series remains one of the longest continuously issued coin designs in American history, and the 1994 issue occupies its place within that enduring legacy. Although not rare in circulated grades, it represents continuity, stability, and the everyday function of currency in American life. As part of YouTube exploration, the 1994 Washington Quarter offers rich discussion topics, including minting technology, composition changes, historical context, design, heritage, collector interest, and market value. Each aspect contributes to a deeper appreciation of a coin that many people once handled daily without a second thought. In conclusion, the 1994 Washington Quarter stands as a symbol of American tradition, artistry, and economic activity. It bridges the gap between the classic eagle reverse era and the modern commemorative programs that followed, making it an important chapter in the broader story of United States coinage and the enduring image of George Washington on the quarter dollar. The 1995 Washington quarter dollar coin is part of one of the longest-running and most recognizable coin series in the history of the United States Mint. The Washington quarter was first introduced in 1932 to commemorate the 200th anniversary of the birth of America's first president, George Washington, and what began as a one-year commemorative issue quickly became a permanent design that would remain in circulation for decades. By 1995, the coin had already been in continuous production for more than 60 years, and it remained a familiar and essential part of everyday American commerce. The obverse of the 1995 quarter continued to feature the left-facing portrait of George Washington that had become iconic across generations. The original design was created by sculptor John Flanagan, whose work was selected in 1931 after a national competition. His classical interpretation of Washington was based on a bust by French sculptor Jean-Antoine Houdon created during Washington's lifetime, giving the coin a direct artistic connection to the 18th century and to the living image of the first president. On the obverse of the 1995 quarter, the inscriptions include "Liberty" above Washington's head, "In God We Trust" to the left, and the date, 1995, at the bottom. The mint mark appears to the right of the ribbon at the base of Washington's ponytail. In 1995, quarters were struck at the Philadelphia Mint and the Denver Mint for circulation, and at the San Francisco Mint for proof versions, giving collectors several variations to seek. The reverse design of the 1995 quarter remained unchanged from the original 1932 concept. It features a heraldic eagle with wings spread perched on a bundle of arrows, symbolizing strength and readiness, while olive branches beneath the arrows represent peace. The inscriptions "United States of America" and "Quarter Dollar" frame the design, while "E Pluribus Unum" appears above the eagle, reinforcing the national motto that means "out of many one." The composition of the 1995 Washington quarter reflects changes made in the mid-20th century. Originally, quarters were struck in 90% silver, but beginning in 1965, rising silver prices led the United States Mint to adopt a clad composition. By 1995, the quarter consisted of a pure copper core, bonded between outer layers of copper-nickel, creating a durable coin with the appearance of silver, but without precious metal content. In 1995, millions of quarters were struck for circulation, as the coin played a vital role in daily life. Quarters were essential for vending machines, parking meters, laundromats, arcades, and public transportation systems across the country. The steady demand for 25-cent pieces ensured high mintage figures for both Philadelphia and Denver, making most 1995 quarters common in circulated grades. Although standard circulation strikes are abundant, the 1995 proof quarters struck in San Francisco hold special appeal for collectors. These proof coins were struck using specially polished dies and planchets, resulting in mirror-like fields and frosted devices that create a cameo contrast. Proof coins were sold in annual proof sets by the United States Mint and were never intended for general circulation. An especially important variety from this year is the 1995 W-Proof Silver Quarter. In celebration of the 10th anniversary of the American Eagle Coin Program, the United States Mint included a special silver-proof Washington quarter bearing the W Mint mark in a commemorative set. This marked the first time a Washington quarter carried the West Point Mint mark, making it a key issue within the long-running series. The 1995 W silver-proof quarter was struck in 90% silver, unlike the standard clad issues. Its limited mintage compared to regular circulation coins has made it highly desirable among collectors. Because it was only available as part of a special set, many examples remain in high-grade condition, carefully preserved in original packaging. The historical context of 1995 places this quarter at the close of an era just before a major transformation in American coinage. Only a few years later, in 1999, the United States Mint would introduce the ambitious State Quarters program, which temporarily replaced the traditional eagle reverse with rotating state designs. The 1995 quarter therefore represents one of the final years of the classic eagle reverse before that historic change. Throughout the mid-1990s, the United States economy was experiencing growth and technological expansion, and the quarter was deeply embedded in the culture of everyday transactions. From telephone booths to newspaper vending machines, the familiar Washington quarter was often the coin people reached for first, making it one of the most handled objects in the country. Collectors examining 1995 quarters pay close attention to condition and strike quality. Coins graded in uncirculated mint state condition with strong luster and minimal contact marks are more valuable than heavily worn examples. Proof coins are evaluated for cameo contrast, clarity of strike, and preservation of their mirror surfaces. Error coins from 1995 also attract interest. Off-center strikes, die, cracks doubled, dies, and other minting anomalies can add significant premiums depending on their visibility and rarity. Because such errors occur during the minting process, they provide insight into the mechanical realities of coin production at high-speed facilities. The Washington Quarter series as a whole reflects evolving artistic and technical standards at the United States Mint. By 1995, modernized minting equipment and quality control processes ensured consistent output even at enormous production levels. The durability of the copper-nickel-clad composition allowed coins to remain in circulation for decades without excessive wear. The portrait of George Washington on the quarter connects Americans to the founding era of the nation. Washington's leadership during the Revolutionary War and his role in shaping the early republic established him as a unifying national symbol. His image on the quarter reinforces ideals of stability, continuity, and national identity. The edge of the 1995 Washington quarter is reeded with 119 reeds, a feature that dates back to earlier precious metal coinage, where reeding helped prevent clipping of silver. Although the 1995 coin contains no silver, the reeded edge remains as a traditional design element linking modern coins to historical practices. In the numismatic marketplace, most circulated 1995 quarters are worth face value due to their high mintage and clad composition. However, high-grade uncirculated examples, and especially the 1995 W silver proof, can command significantly higher prices depending on condition and certification by professional grading services. The production of the 1995 quarter involved multiple stages, including blanking, annealing, upsetting, striking, and inspection. Planchets were cut from large coils of clad metal, then heated to soften them before being fed into high-speed presses, where dies impressed the obverse and reverse designs simultaneously, educationally. The 1995 Washington quarter serves as an accessible entry point for new collectors. Because examples are easy to find in circulation, many young hobbyists begin by examining dates and mint marks on quarters. This simple act often sparks a lifelong interest in history, art, and economics. As the 20th century approached its end, the Washington quarter stood as a constant presence amid rapid social and technological change. The coin carried forward a design first envisioned in the early 1930s, linking generations through a shared everyday object. When the State Quarters program began in 1999, it temporarily retired the traditional eagle reverse that had appeared on the 1995 quarter. As a result, Coins, like the 1995 issue, gained retrospective significance as part of the final stretch of the original long-running design type. Today, collectors assembling date and mint mark sets of Washington quarters include the 1995P, 1995D, 1995S clad proof, and 1995W silver proof as essential components. Each represents a different aspect of mint production during that year, and together they illustrate the diversity within a single denomination. The enduring popularity of the Washington quarter reflects the success of John Flanagan's design and the powerful symbolism of George Washington. Even decades after 1995, the coin continues to circulate widely, demonstrating the longevity of its materials and the strength of its artistic concept. The 1995 Washington quarter offers a rich narrative that blends art history, political symbolism, mint technology, and collector culture. From its classical portrait rooted in the work of Jean-Antoine Houdon to its place on the eve of the state quarters revolution, the coin stands as both a practical tool of commerce and a miniature monument to the American story. Beyond its role in commerce, the 1995 Washington quarter also reflects the broader legacy of the original 1932 commemorative concept that honored George Washington. When the design by John Flanagan was first chosen, it replaced the earlier standing Liberty quarter and introduced a more restrained neoclassical portrait style that endured for generations. By 1995, that decision had proven remarkably durable, as Americans had grown so accustomed to Washington's profile that the coin felt timeless, almost immune to changing artistic trends and political climates. In the numismatic community, the 1995 issue is often discussed as part of the pre-statehood era of Washington quarters, which ended just a few years later with the launch of the State Quarters program in 1999. Collectors who focus on completing long-date runs recognize 1995 as one of the final standard Eagle reverse years before the dramatic design transformation that reshaped the series. This gives the coin a quiet, historical importance because it represents the closing chapter of the classic reverse type that had defined the denomination for more than 6 decades. The year 1995 also stands out because of the special West Point silver proof issue, which expanded the collecting possibilities within the series. The introduction of a W mint mark on a Washington quarter was unprecedented and signaled the growing experimentation of the United States Mint in marketing limited edition products to collectors. As a result, the 1995 Washington quarter embodies both tradition and transition, honoring a design rooted in the early 20th century, while hinting at the innovative programs that would redefine American coinage at the dawn of the new millennium. The 1996 Washington quarter stands as one of the final issues of the long-running Washington quarter design before the historic transition to the State Quarters program in 1999. And it represents a powerful closing chapter in a coin series that began in 1932 to honor the 200th anniversary of the birth of George Washington, and by 1996, the design had already become one of the most recognized and collected coins in the history of the United States. The obverse of the 1996 quarter features the timeless portrait of George Washington, originally designed by sculptor John Flanagan, whose profile depiction was inspired by a bust created by French sculptor Jean-Antoine Houdon, and the inscription, "Liberty" appears above Washington's head, while "In God We Trust" is positioned to the left, and the date 1996 appears at the bottom, reflecting continuity in American coin artistry. On the reverse, the coin carries the familiar heraldic eagle design with outstretched wings clutching arrows and olive branches symbolizing readiness for war and desire for peace, and the inscriptions "United States of America" and $quarter frame the eagle, while "E pluribus unum" appears above, emphasizing unity among the states. The 1996 Washington quarter was struck at 3 United States Mint facilities, including Philadelphia, Denver, and San Francisco, with Philadelphia, and Denver producing circulation strikes, and San Francisco producing proof versions for collectors, and each mint mark plays an important role in the numismatic identity of the coin. The Philadelphia Mint produced millions of 1996 quarters without a mint mark, as was tradition, and these coins entered circulation across the nation, becoming part of everyday commerce, and though common in circulated grades, they hold importance as part of complete year sets for collectors. The Denver Mint, identified by the D Mint mark, struck a substantial number of 1996 quarters, and these coins are often found with strong strikes and appealing luster when preserved in uncirculated condition, making them popular among collectors seeking high-grade examples for registry sets. The San Francisco Mint struck proof versions bearing the S Mint mark, and these coins were produced using specially polished dies and planchets, resulting in sharp details, mirrored fields, and frosted devices, and both clad proofs and special silver-proof coins were made for collector-proof sets. The 1996 silver-proof quarter is particularly notable because it was struck in 90% silver and 10% copper composition, echoing the metallic standards used prior to 1965, and these silver proofs were included in special silver proof sets that appealed strongly to traditional collectors. In terms of composition, the standard 1996 circulation quarter was made of a copper core, sandwiched between outer layers of copper-nickel alloy, giving it durability for everyday use, and the coin weighs 5.67 grams with a diameter of 24.26 millimeters, maintaining the consistent specifications established decades earlier. The year 1996 was historically significant for the United States Mint because it marked preparations for the upcoming 50-state quarters program, and the Washington quarter design of 1996 was among the last traditional eagle reverse issues before dramatic design changes reshaped the series. Collectors often seek high-grade uncirculated examples of the 1996 quarter, particularly those graded MS-67 or higher, because coins at that level exhibit exceptional strike quality, strong luster, and minimal contact marks, and such pieces can command premiums above face value in the numismatic market. Proof versions of the 1996 quarter are valued for their sharp cameo contrast between frosted devices and mirrored backgrounds, and deep cameo specimens, especially in silver-proof format, are admired for their visual appeal and long-term collectability. Error coins from 1996 have also attracted attention, including off-center strikes, die cracks, doubled dies, and clipped planchets, and though not common, such mint errors can significantly increase the value of an otherwise ordinary quarter, depending on the severity and visual impact of the error. The economic climate of 1996 saw steady growth in the United States, and quarters circulated heavily in vending machines, parking meters, and everyday transactions, and the 1996 Washington quarter became a silent participant in daily American life, passing through countless hands. By the mid-1990s, coin collecting experienced renewed interest, particularly as anticipation grew for the state quarters program, and many collectors began saving high-grade examples of late-date Washington quarters, including the 1996 issue in original mint sets. Mint sets issued in 1996 included uncirculated examples from both Philadelphia and Denver, and these sets remain a common way for collectors to obtain well-preserved coins, free from circulation wear, and often displaying original mint luster. The artistry of John Flanagan's design remained largely unchanged in 1996, reflecting the enduring strength of its classical style, and the portrait of Washington had become deeply embedded in American culture, appearing not only on the quarter, but also symbolizing leadership and national identity. Although the 1996 quarter may appear ordinary at first glance, it represents continuity in American coinage, bridging the gap between traditional coin design and the innovative era that followed with commemorative state reverses. Numismatic grading services such as PCGS and NGC have certified thousands of 1996 quarters, and population reports reveal that while most examples are common in lower mint state grades, truly superb specimens remain comparatively scarce. Silver-proof versions of the 1996 quarter contain approximately 0.18084 troy ounces of pure silver, and their intrinsic value fluctuates with silver market prices, adding an additional dimension to their appeal beyond collectability. The edge of the 1996 quarter features the traditional reeded design, which not only adds aesthetic detail, but historically served as a deterrent against precious metal clipping when coins were struck in silver composition. Collectors assembling date and mint mark sets of Washington quarters consider 1996 an essential entry, as it represents one of the final years before the major transition, and completing the long-running Eagle Reverse series often culminates with coins like the 1996 issue. The historical lineage of the Washington quarter, from its introduction in 1932 through 1996, reflects decades of American history, including wars, economic change, cultural transformation, and technological advancement, all witnessed by this small yet powerful coin. In 1996, the United States celebrated the 220th anniversary of American independence, and coins such as the Washington quarter served as enduring reminders of the nation's founding principles and democratic traditions. Today, the 1996 Washington quarter continues to circulate, though many examples have been pulled aside by collectors who recognize its place at the threshold of a new era in American coin design. As one of the last pre-state quarters Eagle reverses, the 1996 Washington quarter stands as a symbol of tradition, stability, and continuity in United States coinage, and its story reflects both the legacy of the past and the anticipation of change that defined the closing years of the 20th century. The year 1996 also marked the 64th year of the Washington Quarter series, which began in 1932, and by this time the coin had become one of the longest-running unchanged designs in United States history, and this longevity created a deep sense of familiarity among Americans who often handled the quarter without considering the rich artistic and historical background behind its creation. In 1996, the United States Mint continued improving production technology, including die preparation and striking pressure, which helped produce sharper details compared to some earlier decades. And while the design itself remained classic, the manufacturing processes reflected modern advancements that ensured consistent quality across millions of coins struck in Philadelphia and Denver. The collectible appeal of the 1996 Washington quarter increased even more after 1999, when the traditional Eagle Reverse was retired for the 50 state quarters program, because collectors began to look back at the final Eagle Reverse years with greater appreciation, and the 1996 issue became part of that nostalgic closing group representing the end of a historic design era. For young collectors in the late 1990s, the 1996 quarter often served as an accessible entry point into coin collecting, since it was still easy to find in circulation, and many hobbyists began by saving bright, uncirculated examples from pocket change before eventually expanding their collections to include proof and silver-proof versions. Today, the 1996 Washington quarter is viewed not only as a common circulation coin, but as a transitional piece linking more than 6 decades of traditional American coinage design with the modern commemorative era, and its importance lies less in rarity and more in its historical position as one of the final representatives of the classic Eagle Reverse that defined American quarters for generations. In conclusion, the 1996 Washington quarter represents the quiet strength of tradition in American coinage, as it carried forward the classic portrait of George Washington and the enduring Eagle Reverse at a time when the United States Mint was preparing for dramatic change. And although millions were struck for circulation, the coin holds historical importance as one of the last issues before the transformation brought by the state quarters era, making it a symbolic closing note to more than 6 decades of consistent design. Ultimately, the legacy of the 1996 quarter is not defined by rarity or extraordinary value, but by its role as a bridge between generations of collectors and everyday Americans who used it in daily life, And as the final years of the 20th century approached, this coin stood as a reminder of stability, heritage, and continuity, ensuring that the story of the traditional Washington Quarter series would be remembered long after new designs began reshaping the nation's coinage. The 1998 Washington Quarter represents the final chapter of the traditional eagle reverse design before the historic transition to the state quarters program in 1999, making it a meaningful coin in modern United States numismatic history. The Washington Quarter series itself began in 1932 to commemorate the 200th anniversary of the birth of George Washington, and what was initially intended as a one-year commemorative issue quickly became a permanent fixture of American coinage. The obverse of the 1998 quarter features the familiar left-facing portrait of Washington designed by John Flanagan, whose initials JF appear at the base of the bust, preserving the legacy of a sculptor whose work endured for more than 6 decades. By 1998, the design had become one of the most recognized images in American commerce, appearing daily in the pockets and cash registers of millions of citizens during a period of strong economic growth in the United States. The reverse of the 1998 quarter displays the heraldic eagle adapted from the Great Seal of the United States, with outstretched wings clutching arrows and an olive branch symbolizing strength and peace beneath the bold inscription, United States of America, and quarter-dollar coins dated 1998 were struck at the United States Mint facilities in Philadelphia and Denver for circulation, while proof versions were produced in San Francisco, continuing the 3-mint tradition of the late 20th century. The Philadelphia Mint struck hundreds of millions of quarters in 1998, without a mint mark, continuing the long-standing tradition for that facility, while Denver issues carry the small D mint mark to the right of Washington's ponytail. San Francisco proof coins bear the S mint mark and were struck with specially polished dies and planchets, resulting in mirror-like fields and frosted devices that create a dramatic cameo effect sought after by collectors. The composition of the 1998 Washington Quarter follows the copper nickel-clad standard introduced in 1965, consisting of an outer layer of 75% copper and 25% nickel bonded to a pure copper core, giving the coin durability and its characteristic reeded edge. In addition to clad proofs, the San Francisco Mint also produced a limited number of silver proof quarters in 1998, composed of 90% silver and 10% copper, offering collectors a modern nod to the pre-1965 silver era. The year 1998 was a time of anticipation within the hobby, as Congress had already approved the upcoming 50-state quarters program, which would dramatically transform the reverse design beginning in 1999 and renew national interest in coin collecting. As a result, the 1998 quarter holds historical significance as the last standard eagle reverse quarter struck for general circulation, marking the end of a design that had remained largely unchanged for 66 years. During the late 1990s, the American economy was experiencing technological expansion and strong financial markets, and these quarters circulated heavily through vending machines, grocery stores, and banks, symbolizing everyday commerce in a rapidly modernizing society. Collectors today examine 1998 quarters for condition rarity with coins graded in high mint state levels, such as MS-67, or above, commanding premium prices due to their sharp strikes and minimal contact marks. Proof coins from 1998 are also evaluated for deep cameo contrast and flawless surfaces with perfect graded examples, becoming highlights of modern proof sets assembled by enthusiasts. While no major design varieties dominate the 1998 issue, minor die cracks and strike variations can still be found, adding subtle intrigue for specialists who enjoy studying die states and production anomalies. The edge of the 1998 quarter features 119 reeds, a standard detail that helps prevent counterfeiting and historically discourage the clipping of precious metal during the earlier silver era. Each coin weighs 5.67 grams and measures 24.26 millimeters in diameter specifications, that have remained consistent for clad Washington quarters for decades, ensuring compatibility with vending and counting machines. Educationally, the 1998 quarter often serves as a teaching tool when explaining the transition between long-standing coin designs and modern commemorative programs that reflect the diversity of the United States. For many Americans, the 1998 issue was simply pocket change. Yet in hindsight, it represents the calm before the transformative storm of the state quarters era, which would spark one of the most successful coin programs in history. The production totals for 1998 reached into the hundreds of millions across both major circulation mints, demonstrating the ongoing demand for quarters in daily transactions before the millennium. When the calendar turned to 1999, the reverse would change for the first time in generations, making uncirculated rolls of 1998 quarters a symbolic keepsake for collectors who recognized they were witnessing the end of an era. Today, the 1998 Washington quarter stands not only as a circulating coin of its time, but also as a historical marker bridging the traditional portrait and eagle motif with the innovative commemorative spirit that would define American coinage in the 21st century. Beyond its role as the final eagle reverse issue, the 1998 Washington quarter also reflects the broader stability of late 20th century American coinage, when long-running designs provided continuity and familiarity in daily life while quietly carrying national symbolism from generation to generation. During the 1990s, advances in minting technology allowed the United States Mint to produce coins with improved consistency and sharper detail compared to earlier decades, and 1998 issues often display strong strikes, especially from the Denver facility, though contact marks from heavy circulation remain common. The portrait of George Washington continued to serve as a reminder of the nation's founding leadership and ideals, and by 1998, this familiar image had become one of the longest-running continuous portraits on any circulating United States coin, reinforcing a sense of historical continuity. Collectors approaching the 1998 quarter from a modern perspective often focus on assembling high-grade registry sets where minute differences in luster, strike quality, and surface preservation can dramatically influence value, turning an otherwise common coin into a prized example when preserved in exceptional condition. Proof sets released in 1998 gained additional importance because they represent the last opportunity to obtain the classic heraldic eagle design in specially prepared collector format before the reverse redesign of 1999, making complete 1998 proof sets a symbolic closing chapter for traditional quarter collectors. The economic climate of 1998 marked the height of the technology-driven expansion in the United States, and billions of quarters moved rapidly through banks, vending machines, arcades, and retail stores, embedding the 1998 date deeply into the fabric of everyday transactions just before the cultural shift of the new millennium. From a historical timeline perspective, the 1998 quarter stands at a crossroads between the long era that began in 1932, with the original Washington commemorative concept, and the ambitious commemorative programs that would follow, proving how a single date can quietly mark the turning of a major chapter in numismatic history. In retrospect, the 1998 Washington quarter is more than a common clad coin, as it symbolizes the conclusion of a design tradition that endured for over 6 decades, serving as a bridge between classic American coin artistry and the innovative themed coin programs that would soon capture the imagination of a new generation of collectors. In conclusion, the 1998 Washington quarter stands as a quiet yet powerful symbol of transition in American coinage, marking the final full year of the long-running eagle reverse that had defined the denomination since 1932, and closing a chapter that began with the tribute to George Washington during the bicentennial of his birth. As the last traditional design before the launch of the state quarters era, The 1998 issue represents the end of a period characterized by visual stability and national continuity produced in vast numbers by the United States Mint, yet destined to gain deeper historical meaning once the reverse design changed forever in 1999. Today, collectors and historians look back at the 1998 Washington quarter not simply as pocket change, but as a milestone that bridges classic 20th century coin artistry with the innovative programs of the 21st century, proving that even the most familiar coins can hold lasting significance when viewed through the lens of history.